Alright everyone, welcome to the Active Towns channel. I am in Bern, Switzerland today. Just kind of checking things out, first time here. They say it's one of the more bicycle friendly cities, so let's swing things around and check it out. Looks like this is part of the historic city center area, as we typically see in many of these European cities. These streets tend to be mostly traffic calmed. In the mornings like this, we tend to see the deliveries coming in. Super narrow street there. Lots of bike parking in this area here. You get the sense that this is really considered pedestrian priority area. Very, very comfortable. See kind of a market area here. This is a Friday, July 19th. And again, as I mentioned, it is morning. Not super early morning, but mid-morning, still the deliveries are taking place. Large Platz area there, plaza. Looks like we have pretty extensive bike routing system information here, which is pretty cool. I am seeing a fair number of women cycling, which is always a good sign. Let's go check out this view over here. I have no idea what this building is, but this looks pretty cool. It's a pretty cool accessibility lift right there. System goes right up the railing to get down to here. And it looks like this is just like we saw yesterday in Zurich. This is a place where you can have access to clean water. There you go. Fabulous. A nice view looking down to the river. Absolutely gorgeous view. It looks like there is a pathway leading down that way. We might just have to take that. looks like there's another pathway over there. See a guy walking a bike. And again, looking down on what I'm assuming is an old historic district. I don't know if you can see that really well, but in the distance there, you've got a very active swimming pool and park. And I do see a few people in the water swimming in the river, which is moving quite briskly. And then the city and the neighborhoods stretching out over the hills. Very beautiful. Again, I'm not really sure what this structure is. This might be a government building or a university. I didn't see any signs that I could understand. I suppose I could look at my map. Okay, I did look at my map and it says this is the Bunda House. And I think that might mean City Hall. I'm not super sure about that. But there's a tram going across the bridge there. You also see some bikes and peds going across that bridge. Decisions. Do I make my way over there and go across that bridge? Or do I go down this way? Decisions. All right. Back up here on this main level. I think we're setting up here on this bridge. Yeah, so we've got the tram, and it looks like people on bikes just share this space on the tram going over the river, which makes a bend right here. Looking back on that grand building gives you a much better perspective of how impressive it is. And then back over here, see the beautiful water in that direction. And a gal here on the bike share bike. So we're not really seeing much in terms of impressive infrastructure yet for bikes. Everything seems to be mostly shared space. Quiet streets like this one. And you have a 20 kilometer per hour zone right here, using a very, very effective strategy of alternate side parking for cars, and then really narrowing things up with parking apparently allowed on both sides here. And again, that just creates a much calmer environment, slows motor vehicle traffic down significantly. Looks like they did sort of a impromptu little traffic calming device here. Looks like we've got a cycle infrastructure sign or a route here. Let's see what this is all about. All right. It doesn't appear to be a bike lane, maybe just a route. The Swiss are using a bright red for their bike lanes, the conflict zones between in the areas here at intersections, as you can see. But it looks like on this main street, it's just, again, pretty much just a painted bike lane. We're gonna take it down here just to see where it goes. I think it's heading down towards the river. Not sure if this drops all the way down to like where we saw those neighborhoods down along the river. That looks like that might be the Swiss postal delivery guy. All right. Looks like we're in a sort of a beautiful residential area here. Again, quiet. City streets, residential streets. I think this is the museum area. And again, we are seeing a fair number of women riding, some with helmets, some without. Again, the litmus test of a safe cycling environment is when you see more women and children out and about. Definitely on these side streets, we're not seeing high numbers of moving motor vehicles, plenty parked. And we see plenty of these slow zones like this right here. And this right here. And we see a few people riding in the distance over here. It's like a big cathedral in the distance there. And yeah, here's where we were before. We came across that bridge right there where this gal is walking her bike towards. And then this is the Museum of History, Museum of Einstein. Of course, Einstein did some of his studies here. Very cool. And we see a fair number of bikes parked right out here in front. All right, let me see if I can wind my way down to the waterfront. Again, a nice slow zone. Oh yeah, nice steep street. We've got some people pushing their bikes up. This definitely feels like it's taking us to the waterfront. And there she be. The river is flowing quite briskly. Coming down out of, I'm assuming, the Swiss Alps. And I don't know if you can see it, but there's some folks swimming / floating, drifting in the water. They're getting a ride. And I believe right over there on the other side of that building might be that pool, or it might be a little further down. Maybe right in this area. Young family getting ready to get the kid out on a little bike. Some more waterside recreation over here. I definitely get the sense that there is a culture of riding one's bike here. I also get the sense that it's in spite of the fact that we haven't seen a lot of truly protected infrastructure. Pretty much all the bike lanes that we've seen have been painted with a very, very short section of grade separated up on the curb level. But again, lots of people seem to be out on bikes of various types. All right. Well, this is certainly very, very pleasant, but let's see where we can go to check out more of the city. See what our options are here. We see this person biking. It looks like she might be going over a bridge. I say we follow her. Seems like a reasonable thing to do. Wow, I have no context, but I get the sense that this river is awfully high right now and is flowing quite fast. I see a couple of floaters coming down the water here. They either have a flotation bag with them for safety, or that's their dry clothes, a bag where they can put their clothes into, which apparently is another thing that people do. We saw a little bit of that in Zurich yesterday. I can't tell, is this guy getting ready to go for a dip or has just completed his dip? Swing around. That's where these folks are going to be in just a moment. And yeah. Yeah. Hey. And there they go. What a cool little controlled, just kind of go for a ride. They're just sort of breaststroking, enjoying their float. What an interesting tradition. Again, we saw that in Zurich yesterday too. This water seems much deeper and really quite impressive with the flow that they've got here. And it seems really high up on the banks. I know that they, like much of Europe, had a really, really wet spring and lots of rain. So I'm sure that has contributed to these flows. I'm assuming this is all walking distances. We do see one person on a bike kind of rolling along here. We have plenty of people running and walking. This person looks like he's a long distance traveler. Pretty cool. And he's heading that direction. We'll just kind of roll this way slowly. Looks like we've got a school here. Their playing fields being mowed. And here's one of the little stairways that the floaters, if they can make their way over to here, they can exit the water and come on out. All right, I'm heading up this path. It seems as if there's potentially a bike route. This might actually be considered a bike route. Kind of looks like it. Let's take it. Yeah, here you go. A little hard to see. There's a marking. So this is our first true separated bike lane. Looks like it delivers people directly to this school, which is fabulous to see. There's absolutely no activity at the school, so I'm going to have to assume they're on vacation right now, which I believe has been indicated to me that a good number of people are starting on their vacations here in Switzerland. They do it on a rotating basis via cantons to hopefully mitigate overcrowding of the trail systems up in the mountains when everybody's vacationing at exactly the same time. Things get overwhelmed. All right. And here we go, continuing on our very wide now and very comfortable bike path. We do see that we've got lighting for this path. Got a service vehicle coming through. The waterworks for the area, Bern. We are on a pretty continuous climb right now. It's not too difficult, but we are gaining elevation. That gal that passed us the other way when we first got onto the bike path, you may have noticed that she was just coasting downhill. No hands. Very comfortable riding. I'm in my third lowest gear, so I haven't even had to shift to my true low gears. And it's, like I said, a nice, steady, gentle climb. Here's somebody flying by me on his electric assist bike. Oh, and by the way, huge testament to e-bikes here in Switzerland, where you do have a hillier environment. If you build the infrastructure, the safe cycling facilities, the e-bike will help bridge that gap, that elevation, flatten those hills, and make it a very doable, very utilitarian tool for getting around. As we are climbing, I don't know, yeah, you can't really see it, but through these trees right here, there are neighborhoods. So I suspect that in a matter of moments, like literally right here, we will have connectivity into these neighborhoods. And so they can end up using this pathway to the river, park, and everything else. Yeah, see all the housing, entire residential district here. Very nice. Again, there's the numbering system, and we see that we've got a nice pathway. Okay. Let's see where this takes us now. It looks like we turn to the right. There we go. Again, when you really take a step back and think about what it is we're seeing here, these are routes within a suburban context in some ways. I mean, obviously, yes, these are much older homes than your typical North American suburban context, but the learnings are the same here. We've got filtered permeability, you've got cars that are traffic calmed, streets that are traffic calmed, and a very comfortable environment. All right, looks like our signage for this particular bike route kind of ends here. And we're gonna head up this hill and see if we can find another bike route. And you can see another school area here. Traffic calming immediately in front of the school. In a residential area. Also see lots of people carrying their beverages and their swimming and beach gear with them. Okay, I popped up here to Co-op, which is one of the grocery store chains. And this seems to be a pretty busy street right here. And right off of the busy street, we have this little slow zone. That looks like it might be a bike counter. Or no, it looks like it might be, I don't know what that is. Maybe it has something to do with the bike share bike. Looks like that's what it is. I don't see any bike share bikes right there, but I think that little painted strip right there is supposed to mean that that's a bike lane. Yeah. Again, plenty of people seemingly riding their bikes for everyday purposes here. There's a gal here just pulling in. She's gonna go do some grocery shopping. We see a guy riding right here, rolling down, using that bike lane. But to be honest, even though people are navigating this just fine, it's mostly because the speeds are relatively slow and the motor vehicle drivers seem to be pretty cautious. But yeah, definitely not super all ages and abilities friendly here. So rather than ride down that, I think you know what that's like. We're gonna go back to our delightful little path, make our way back to the old historic city center, and see what else we can find before jumping on the train and going to our next location. But again, I am loving what I'm seeing in terms of, you know, again, the traffic calming, the school street areas, really emphasizing that this is not meant to be fast-moving traffic area. And again, here we are at the beginning of the bike route. We've got a little shared space area here for a while, and then we'll get to the main bike path. As I mentioned before, it's pretty much a constant climb up to this neighborhood, so I suspect that I won't have to pedal at all heading back in the other direction. We can see our wayfinding sign here in the distance, up on the pole. Bike route number 74, 8. And some more folks maybe coming back from the water. And here we are. Again, I'm not gonna have to pedal pretty much at all on this climb, or the descent. Climb for him, not for me. I'm just gonna be able to coast our way down. I'm just using my front camera right now. Mitigating some of my speed with my front brakes. I don't want to go too fast. It'll also give me a better sense as to how many people are riding. Coming back down here, it looks like we've got some kids riding up the pathway here. Again, this is what we mean by creating all ages and abilities facilities. You want little ones to be able to get to meaningful destinations. Off in the distance to the right is the bridge we came over. Looks like we have a worker heading to work on his e-bike. Good to see. And past this waterworks building. And kids on little push scooters, razors, if you will. Is the brand that was used back in the day. Not sure if they're still around. Some black sheep right on the hill. And that's the pathway we came up. This is a pretty wild area. Kind of reminds me of the artist enclaves that we saw there in Zurich. And it looks like we've got a little skater area here. Very cool. Looks like an old industrial area. Nobody here at the moment. Looks like that parent and child were heading towards the water. I see a bike sign over here. Yeah, here it is. We've got our bike sign. Yeah, we've got our bike sign again. Yeah, there's the wayfinding. Some little cafe seating area here right by the water. Very cool. And here's our sign. You can hear by the gravel under my wheels. We're on a natural surface in this little section, which is just fine. It's smooth enough. And rolling through a little parking area here. This looks like it's kind of a no man's land under this massive bridge that goes over the river. Some cool little things here. A little cut through here. That's that park. And yeah, here's the public bike share system. And it looks like they are electric assist bikes. That's very cool. All right. Yeah, I think this is where the pool is here. We are gonna swap out our front battery. Be right back in a second. And so folks are getting around here on rollerblades. And on this bridge up here, there's some people walking and biking. And there you go. You can see somebody on the bridge making their way over the river. And here's some more bike parking for this facility. Yeah, we've got more bike parking for that facility, the pool. More very, very quiet side streets. This one right here, 20-kilometer-per-hour zone. Very cool. And there you go. There's a look at the pool area and the bike parking outside here. Very cool. And of course, we got an overhead view when we were standing on the other side up at that building right there, the Bunda House. And again, there's a good shot of the river flowing by. All right, let's go down this way. Seems like a pretty quiet stretch. You've got a little park area here. Very cool. Little cafe area. This guy's practicing his balancing. And here you go. We have our first quasi-protected little separated bike lane here, right along the waterfront, going over or under the bridge that we went on earlier up there. It's nice. Traveling with the flow of the water. Very cool. And this is a little spillway area right here. Got a little glimpse of it from up on top of the bridge. Looks like a really cool cafe area there. Wondered what the easiest way to get to that location is. Yeah, these flows just seem very, very impressive. Seems like it's reaching near limit. Beautiful old streets here. Onto a cobblestone street. And transitioning off the cobbles into a little pavement, but you'll notice how traffic calm this is. Again, this is a 20 kilometer per hour zone. Got some little water features here. Again, an all ages and abilities environment here. Very comfortable. Got some long distance bike tourers here. Again, that's the postal delivery setup. And transitioning back into our cobbles. I hadn't even realized we were still on our bike route. Apparently we are. Don't really know where this bike route takes us, but there you go. Back over the water. And you can see the folks climbing. Oh, there's a little microlino, little microcar. Okay, we are going to make our way to the central station and bring our short little Bern visit to a close and continue on to our next destination. Looks like I get to climb up this hill on cobbles. Gotta love it. This is when I appreciate having lower gears on this bike. Whew. Oh, look, they have the little water thing going too. Very nice. And as you can tell, this is just an absolutely beautiful little Central Plaza Way area here. Got all your typical tourist trap in terms of global shopping experiences, but we won't hold that against it. Absolutely beautiful setting. Okay, we're turning left here. All right. And we're following our sign to Zentrum, which of course is for the city center and the center train station, central train station. Here we are. And we're rolling down this street. I'm realizing now that some of these big government buildings, I think I mistakenly said they were city buildings, but really they're probably national buildings. Yeah, so here we are again. I would expect that this is not city, more likely to be national government, or at the very least canton. I think it's probably national. Confederation Helvetica. So there you go. I'm a little slow on the pickup of this kind of stuff, folks, but if you bear with me, I might just catch on. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this little ride here in Bern. This was not meant to be an exhaustive study. It's really just a short little bike exploration, me wandering around as usual. All right, guys, back where we started this morning's journey. It is 11:36, and we are going to jump on to the train to go to our next destination. This was fun in Bern. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and share it with a friend. And if you haven't done so already, I'd be honored to have you subscribe to the channel. Just click on that subscription button down below and ring the notifications bell. Well, until next time, this is John signing off by wishing you much activity, health, and happiness. Cheers.
And again, just want to send a huge thank you to all my Active Towns ambassadors supporting the channel financially via YouTube memberships, YouTube super thanks, as well as making contributions to the nonprofit and joining my Patreon. Every little bit adds up and is very much appreciated. Thank you all so much.